Hello there YouTube and welcome to a brand new horror talk. I'm Random Ross, and this month I thought I would do a horror talk on... This is probably one of the oldest franchises that I've discussed in a horror talk. We are talking the Dracula franchise. So, Count Dracula, a vampire of fiction that has gone on to become, well, immortal. And has gone through various takes and interpretations and incarnations over the last century and a quarter that this character has been around. And yeah, so how about we go from where it started? So Dracula, the book came out. So Dracula was published was published, and May 26, 1897 the book was out, containing 418 pages, written of course by the great Bram Stoker. Now, Bram Stoker, he wrote this book during his time in Whitby. Bram Stoker, he got a lot of inspiration for his book Dracula. Now, of course, the book cover. Now, it doesn't say much, does it? It's like yellow with red letters, and it's meant to get your attention. But I actually learnt this from a video from a horror YouTuber, Maven of the Eventide, and this was discussed in a video where she was actually talking to a descendant of Bram Stoker called Deckard Stoker, and here's a fun fact that I didn't know about it as well. Not even she knew till he told her that red and yellow are the colours of decomposition. Like when you get a bruise, it's like all the dead blood like goes all like dark red, and then there's yellow around it. That's what it said. You know, something to do with decomposition, which I thought was a very interesting fact, which I never knew before. So really, if you look at it, it's not. Looking at it now, I don't think it's as boring as it looks. So, yeah, that was very interesting. And in the book as well, there is an alternate ending, which I also learnt from this video. I'm going to link the video down below in the description, because I learnt a lot of stuff from that video about Dracula, about the book I didn't even know till then. But there was an original ending where Dracula's castle is built on a mountain, and it's built on the top of a volcano, and that volcano erupts, taking the castle down with it. And I thought that was very interesting. You know, very, very interesting facts I learnt from that. And that's what got me in the mood for doing this horror talk. It was a while ago now that they did this video, so yeah, like I say, quite a while now, because this is February, and yeah, this was like back in October of 2020. Not a year we all want to remember, really, is it that? So anyway, Dracula. So Bram Stoker wrote his book and got inspiration from many stuff, such as infamous Prince of Romania, Vlad the Impaler. Now, Vlad the Impaler was a ruthless, evil king, well, Prince of Romania, and got the name Vlad the Impaler by impaling people by inserting stakes in their anuses, and it was an unpleasant death. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about Vlad the Impaler. That'll be something for Dr. Purcell to dissect on this channel, but Stoker drew inspiration for Dracula from that man, from Vlad the Impaler, and in many different interpretations, this story has been turned around and all the facts mixed with the fiction to Dracula's origin, such as the 2014 film Dracula Untold, where he's not really evil, but he does what he does for his country and what have you. But like in the 1992 film Bram Stoker's Dracula, we see that Dracula is Vlad the Impaler, and he becomes a vampire after his beloved is dead. such. Yeah, so Stoker really drew a lot of inspiration of Vlad the Impaler, making him Dracula. And again, that trope has gone on to be parodied and shown in many horrors and different takes of Dracula. So yeah, he was inspired by that. And also, he drew a lot of inspiration from Whitby. Now, Bram Stoker, uh, he went to Whitby in North Yorkshire for his holidays. Bram Stoker was an Irish theatre producer. He went to Whitby for his holidays, and at a hotel that he stayed in, which is now a museum in Whitby dedicated to him, I think. I'm not sure if it is, but there is definitely something there to remind people that he stayed in that place. And the bench he sat on and wrote his book is still there to this very day, what's left of it, because don't forget this was over 100 years ago. Stoker would sit on this bench on this hilltop of Whitby, looking down at the small town, and then a bang across would be the castle and the cemetery where he would sit and write his book. And Whitby has pretty much become the Dracula capital of Britain. I don't know if the world, but I went to Whitby once and there was a lot of Dracula stuff there. There was a shop that had nothing but Dracula merchandise. There was Dracula tours that people went on. Every Halloween time, well, I don't know if it were in 2020, they have goths and vampires everywhere. A big, massive gathering of vampire cosplayers. So that's how much of an impact Stoker had on the small town of Whitby. And yeah, not only did it give us Captain James Cook, it also gave us, the inspiration for Dracula. And Dracula did have his ship go to Whitby. And in the book, Dracula is evil, manipulative, and controlling, but over time, in different takes of the character, has gone on to be like a romancer, an evil villain, and stuff. But in the takes that I've seen, Dracula is like a man wanting to be reunited with his lost love. And but Dracula and this franchise has gone from films to TV shows to kids cartoons and so much of this character. So like I say, Bram Stoker created an immortal character quite literally, and he literally created an immortal character. And I think even in 100 years time, maybe centuries after we're gone, Dracula will still exist in the media, in fiction and stories. Same with vampires. I think we'll be doing the same with them. So in 1922, though, Bram Stoker died in 1912, aged 67. 10 years after his death in 1922, a film came out called Nosferatu, which was meant to be a take on Dracula. It was a silent film, but after Bram Stoker's widower saw this, she wanted the film destroyed, and they did that. They banned it and they were destroying it, but there were some people that kept hold of the copies and have still lasted to this very day, as Nosferatu has now gone down as a classic in the silent movie genre. In 1931, though, there was a film out called Dracula, starring Bela Lugosi as Dracula, and it was this film that gave us the modern trope of Dracula, how he's portrayed as an aristocratic man with a long cloak and a Transylvanian accent. We're going, I am Dracula, because, well, that's how Bela Lugosi portrayed him, even though Bela Lugosi was Hungarian. And he went on to be immortalised as that character for probably the rest of his life. He did appear in a lot of Universal horror films and other stuff, but it was Dracula that made him a star, and everyone remembers him still for that. In fact, in the end, Lugosi lost the plot so much he actually believed he was Dracula, and even had a castle built in Hollywood, to resemble that, his own castle. And to this very day, Johnny Depp actually lives in that castle. Johnny Depp lives there now. But Bela Lugosi, he even got buried in his Dracula cape when he died. So, yeah. So the role sort of made and breaks his career, really. But still, he gave us how, and since then, people have gone on, actors have gone on to portray Dracula in that manner. Of course, Lugosi went on to reprise the role in various other films like Abbott and Costello and crossovers with Wolfman and Frankenstein's monster. And then in the 50s and 60s, there was the studio Hammer House of Horror, which did loads of horror films and did a lot of vampire stuff, including Dracula. And one of the most memorable portrayals for me of Dracula in that is Christopher Lee. So Christopher Lee was good as Dracula as well. He didn't have the whole Romanian accent, he spoke in his English voice, but he had the look for it. And here's a little fact here. Christopher Lee, whenever he was acting as Dracula, he said his lines. But when he had his fangs in, he didn't say a line at all. He never spoke a line when he had the fangs in and showed them off on screen, because he developed a lisp and he couldn't read, so he started to talk like this when he had them in. So that's why he had no lines when he was playing Dracula in them. One of the memorable, in fact, probably the only Dracula film that I actually do like and remember still is his portrayal as Dracula in Dracula Prince of Darkness. So Christopher Lee, one of the, a really good Dracula portrayal. See, like I say, there's so many different takes on Dracula. Like I say, he's gone from like kids literature to like, movies like Hotel Transylvania and Scooby-Doo crossovers and stuff. So, like I say, I don't want to keep bringing up so many other stuff on Dracula because this video would go on for ages. So I'm going to talk now about my favourite films of Dracula. So, yeah, the most recent take of Dracula that I've seen was the BBC miniseries called Dracula, made by the makers of Sherlock. It was a 3-part series, aired from New Year's Day, January 1st to January 3rd, and it was quite a good miniseries. I really did enjoy it. I was completely hooked on it from watching it. The actor Claes Bang, a Danish actor, I believe, played the character well, and I loved the whole references that he made with like Christopher Lee and Bela Lugosi when he was like old and slowly regenerating and stuff. And yeah, Dracula even made it into the 21st century with Dracula 2000. Now that was my proper introduction to Dracula. I was about 12 years old at the time. I wasn't quite that old enough to watch it, but I watched it anyway. And, I remember watching it and being amazed by it with Gerard Butler's performance as Dracula. Like I say, I feel this put the Dracula brand into the 21st century with it being called Dracula 2000. They did another one called Dracula 3000, which is a made-for-TV film, and it has no connection to Dracula 2000. From what I've seen, it is terrible, and it has Coolio in it. So, yeah, the Dracula franchise. Like I say, for the last 124 years, so that's almost a century, in fact it's over a century, but it's almost a century and a quarter that this franchise has existed for. And, Bram Stoker, he himself has made himself immortal by creating this fiction. And, yeah, he's gone down in history, just like Mary Shelley, like William Shakespeare, like Robert Louis Stevenson, like H.G. Wells. And I don't know any other books Stoker wrote. He probably did write some more books, but he will probably only be ever known for writing Dracula. Now, before I end this video, I want to do like a ranking of my top 5 Draculas. Top 5 Dracula portrayals. Because There's so many of them. Of course, I can't forget Dracula's arch nemesis Van Helsing. Van Helsing is a monster hunter that again has gone through many different changes over the century, even getting like a 2004 movie with Hugh Jackman in the role fighting Dracula. Of course, he wasn't called Abraham in that, he was called Gabriel. I don't know why, but still, Van Helsing himself is an immortal creature. Well, not an immortal creature, but an immortal being as well, always being caught up with Dracula, like always having that rivalry with Dracula. Okay, so my Dracula portrayals. So, my rankings of these top 5 Draculas. Now, it's all my personal opinion. Do share in the comments if you have your own. So, coming in at number 5 is Gerard Butler, Dracula 2000. Like I say, it was my introduction to Dracula as a true horror character. Before this, I'd only ever known cartoony Draculas from like Scooby-Doo and what have you. This, for me, was my first real taste of horror, hardcore blood Dracula. So I'll always remember that. And Christopher Lee does a good Van Helsing as well. Probably not the best Van Helsing, but he's okay. I think John Lee Miller was a better hunter than he were in that. Well, he would be, because Van Helsing was old. Next is Cleus Bang. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. From the miniseries Dracula. The only Dracula in this top 5 to be from a TV show. I almost wanted to put Jonathan Rhys-Meyers in there, but I didn't. But I liked his take on Dracula. I wish they could do another series, but I don't think they will. In that they gave Van Helsing the gender change. They made Van Helsing a nun. Yeah, that's right, a nun in the first 2 episodes. Then the 3rd episode, it was a descendant from it was a descendant from her brother's side, who was played by the same actress, but was called Dr. Helsing. I kind of like that spin on the character of Van Helsing. Then at number 3, it's Christopher Lee. Christopher Lee was good as Dracula, and Peter Cushing also was great as Van Helsing in that. And yeah, was a good Dracula. Just didn't have that voice, but with his posh voice, I feel like he did a good job. Then at number 2 is Gary Oldman in Bram Stoker's Dracula. Probably a very true adaptation of the story, but still a bit of a romancer, like I say, as Gary Oldman was, like I say, his Dracula was a bit of a romancer, wanted to be with Mina Murray, but still, I think he did a good portrayal of the character of Dracula, especially like not going with the whole long black cloak and everything, giving it more of a Victorian aristocratic look. And then at number 1, it's got to be Bela Lugosi, because, like I say, he invented the modern trope of Dracula and how he is portrayed to this very day. And yeah, I like the 1931 film as well. I mean, yeah, it's black and white, but sometimes you got to see beyond that and see the art and the work that goes into it all. And a few honourable mentions. 1 to Leslie Nielsen from Dracula Dead and Loving It, which was a spoof. And Jonathan Rhys-Meyers in the short-lived Dracula series, which got cancelled after one season. So yeah, I think I've talked enough about what the Dracula franchise means to me. Like I say, this is such an old franchise and has gone through so many different changes. I haven't seen every single take on Dracula because there is so many out there. So yeah, what's your favourite take on Dracula? What's your favourite Dracula film? Let me know all that down in the comments below. If you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. Feel free to share with your friends, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and to hit that notification bell. All my social media links are linked down below in the description, so be sure to check all that out. I've been Random Ross, and this has been Horror Talk on the Dracula franchise. So, until next time, don't have nightmares.